Okay, so let's look at practice exam, practice quiz 5C, and this is from the material from your digital textbook, chapter 7, overheads and variance analysis. Okay, so the scenario reads that in question 1, in June 20 something year, the Renwell Manufacturing Company prepared the following budget information for July, and you will see the information here. It is important to actually notice that the overhead is to be allocated on the basis of direct labor hours. So that basically means that direct labor hour will be the cost driver. So calculate the predetermined factory overhead rate for fixed, variable, and total. We sort of know what to do easily anyway. So we know that the by formula, overheads calculated by factory overhead over cost driver. I mean the fixed rate, applied rate. So the fixed rate is $60,000 divided by $60,000 divided by 40,000 direct labor hours as the cost driver. Variable cost is $100,000 divided by 40,000 labor hours, and your answer is $1.50 and $2.50, and the total is $4. Okay, so the $4 on the other hand is also equals to, besides 1.5 plus 2.5 is equals to $160,000 divided by 40,000 hours. Okay. So the next, they actually give you the actual number of hours. They actually give you the actual number of hours and the actual number of course. The following actual results are received, and then now ask you to calculate the applied factory overheads. I guess that's based on the actual hours. What your answer should be. Okay. So in this case, let's look at it. So basically the calculation will be largely similar. We'll be using this actual rate divided by the actual, we'll use the apply factory overhead. So what we'll do is we'll use the apply rate that you calculated from the above, which from memory is $1.50 and $2.50. The total is $4 times the actual hours, which is 43,000 hours, and that would be $1.5 times $43,000. It will be 64,500 for fixed rate. Similarly calculated, $107,500 for variable, and total will be the actual total will be summation of the two, but it's actually the actual hour plus rate. So you see here we are looking at in chapter 7 the table where we look at capacity variances and spending variance, and we are looking at the actual hours times rate, so to calculate the capacity variance. And so here in quiz 5C, then we need to complete the factory overhead control ledger. Okay, so I guess this is calculated. You've already done it actually. From here, this is calculated by, I think, yep, this is calculated by the fact that $172,000 is the work in progress in total, and you know your actual spending given in the question is $158,000, which links to here. Your applied work in progress is 172, which is calculated in this question here, and therefore your cost of goods sold will be the balancing item of that, the two, which is $14,000. Yeah. So this question is just a collation of what the information is already provided and you've calculated. Okay. So the next page. We will look at the actual variances calculation. Okay, so basically you are just recollating the information that's provided in the question. So 61,000, 97,000, 158,000 is the actual cost that's given to you in the question. So this is the actual cost given to you in the question, right? And that correlates to here. Okay, now then the flexible budget right? Here you can calculate by fixed rate is not changed. Variable rate, we use the $2.5 calculator by $43,000, which is similar to what we have in the applied rate overhead. So um, and then the right applied overhead number is what you've calculated above in this section here. So, so the difference, what you need to calculate then is the variances, right? So the variance here is $1,000, 10,000, $105,000, $10,000, $500, and $9,500, and here is the variances as well. And now, remember we talk about here that because it's capacity variances. So basically, what we're saying is if your applied overhead is above your flexible overhead, it's a favorable variances, right? However, for spending, if your spending is more than your budget, it's actually unfavorable. So you have to make sure that you understand this concept. If you're unclear, go back to chapter 7, listen to the class recording and our lecture notes. That should make you understand, why the concept of favorable and unfavorable. So what happened is your total is you have total of 9,500 favorable and 4,500 favorable, and therefore all favorable, and you have $14,000 favorable, which is a summation of these two. Now noting, however, if your capacity variance for argument's sake is unfavorable here, and the summation of 9,500 favorable and 4,500 unfavorable will be $5,000 favorable. Okay, so you make sure this is a netting of this is understanding whether it's positive or negative, and do the final favorable unfavorable balances, right? So last but not least, in the question 2 is actually asking you to explain, sorry, to provide the information. Based on the information provided, give the examples of why of different scenarios with word limit as well. For the first question, give 2 examples why capital variances may occur in 50 words. So in other words, is we actually asking you why couldn't we reach a normal full capacity? Why did we exceed our normal full capacity? For example, is our machine working properly? Do we have less staff, or do we have better staff training that boost the productivity, etc.? So that's something that you need to think about, your answers, right? And the second one is give 2 examples of why fixed cost spending maybe variance occurred. So the question is actually asking you why actual fixed cost is different from the budgeted fixed costs. And you can think about what other fixed costs to start with: rent, electricity service fee, not the fixed fee, not the usage component. So there are a lot of different fixed costs reason to change. So you need to give us 2 examples of the reason. And the third question is asking you, part C asks, can you give 2 reasons of why the variable cost spending variances may have occurred? So the actual question is asking you why actual variable cost is different from the budget. Now then again, what are the variable cost, right? Have a think about the variable cost. For example, direct material, direct labors, what affects the usage of direct material and direct labor? Okay, which is given to you here. Right? What affect you this and so you can just say maybe supply chain as usual. That cost increase in the supply of the raw material. Maybe there were insufficient people, insufficient labor, so we have to recruit a contractor in high rates. I don't know. So that's any factors that affect direct material and direct labor will be something that you can use it as an example. Now also in part D you need to explain why it is important for the company to prepare the analysis done in step A and C. So basically it's asking you why is it important to have budget. So we looked at this multiple times, think about your cash flow, think about your company strategy, etc. 50 words. And the last one is what action should the company take as a result of the analysis. Now, the result in the question right now is favorable. Okay, so you probably will be thinking, well, in that case, we need to revise our budget, obviously, and then it seems to us that we actually have more cash. We could actually think about the cash to reinvest, or we can adjust the selling price to a lower selling price so that we can boost our sales figure. There are a lot of different actions you can take, but just may I remind you that if, however, in your exam, your variable variance is unfavorable, then you need to provide actions for to adjust the unfavorable result. That is, your cost is actually higher than you expected. So how will that affect your investment decision? How will that affect your market decision? How will that affect your sell price decision, etc.? So may I strongly recommend you to please prepare your answer before the actual test. So in case if you have similar questions in the exam, you won't be running out of time to get your answers together with the the word count as well. So I think that's all for part C. We'll have some time for questions and answer in the next section. Thank you for your attention.